Hello, Jane. How are you?
Hello, Andrew. Good to see you.
And you too. And you too. I've been looking forward to this for the longest time, and it's been a bit of a gap, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Life, the universe, and craziness kept getting
everything.
in the way of part two.
Everything got in the way, but we're here now and we're so excited.
Absolutely. And we did talk about a surprise for this one. And the surprise is I have brought a friend. Now, for some weird reason, I don't know why, Steven Spielberg just was not returning my
Oh,
calls. I think I'm going to knock him off my friend list because
yes,
to be honest, that's just rude.
believe him.
But I have brought a friend and I'm delighted to introduce Ian Creasy.
Hello. I'm
Yay!
only his friend because he paid me lots of money.
Shh. You'll only get half after this. But yeah, those of you who know my other channel will have seen Ian a couple of times, very tolerantly putting up with me, filming him, forcing him to play games with me, and generally just, presuming upon our friendship to abuse him a lot.
And Ian has been really, really kind and supportive of this channel. And I know, Ian, you're a bit of a movie geek as well. So we're so excited about this.
Especially of this historical nature.
Yes, yeah, you do like your historical dramas, don't you?
That's a good starting point.
Yeah, yeah. So we've got to pick up. We had an absolute blast recording our previous Indiana Jones Fest. Now,
Oh, yes.
just to remind you of the parameters, Ian, because we're not without our biases. So there are just three Indiana Jones movies, the 1980s ones.
Oh, right, okay.
People tell me there have been subsequent films, but I think this might possibly be some kind of heretical falsehood. But there is also the great series that Jane and I both
Yes.
loved and discussed. Did you ever see the Young Indiana Jones series?
No, thankfully, no.
It's amazing. What have you been doing with your life? Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry,
Young
everyone.
Indiana Jones, no. It's not darkened my doorstep yet.
I'm sorry. I am going to have to re-educate this man.
Yes. Yes, totally. Oh,
Yeah.
it's really good, Ian. It's really good. You're going to love
You
it.
must watch. I have the box set down there. You're not leaving my house later until we've
Gotta
watched
keep
all of
him.
it.
Keep
Oh,
him,
dear.
and do not let him leave until he's
No,
all of
no.
it.
Yeah, you can spare 96 hours of viewing time,
Oh,
can't
good
you?
God, yeah. No, my memories of Indiana Jones, like maybe it's Raiders Lost Ark, it's more Sean Connery playing Indiana Jones's dad and that mission.
Yes, yeah.
The great Sean Connery, yes.
Yes, that's my memory of Indiana Jones. Like, was it Raiders of the Lost Ark?
It was Last Crusade.
Last
That one.
Crusade.
Yeah.
Last Crusade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
But
that was a good one. That was a good one. Okay.
Yes.
Guys, I was wondering if we should do, because I have created I call it a quick fire round with some questions, and I thought everyone could join in. So if you're watching, let us know your answers below and let's play this game together. And remember, there are no right and wrong answers, but you have to think about this fast. You cannot dwell too long on what you're going to answer. So answer within 5 seconds. Just say whatever comes into your head, because usually your first impression is the best.
oh, are you sure you want that, Jane? The first thing that comes into our heads? Okay, live
I know it's
dangerously.
dangerous, but I think you're going to like this one.
Oh, this sounds like a really good idea. Yeah, let's do this.
Or it could be an absolute tragic of an idea.
My mind's not a place you want to go, really.
Oh, I don't know. That's I came back all right the last couple of times, didn't I? Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be dangerous. But play with us, guys, in the comments below, and don't think too long and too hard. But I want to ask you guys the same question. And Andrew, I think I'm going to start with you because I don't want to put Ian on the spot right away. I think let's give him a bit of time to think. But I've got absolutely no considerations for your feelings. So I'm just going to jump on you right away and go, here we go. We're going to start right away.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay. First question, whatever comes into your mind. If you could have any of the artifacts from the film, which one would you choose and why?
The Holy Grail, because it's easy to display and is a very interesting talking point.
Oh, that came quick. That came quick. Very good reply.
It's called desperation.
Ooh,
It had to be an artifact, did it?
Yeah.
any of the artifacts, any one of them from any of the 3 films, Ian.
I don't know. Does it classify as an artifact? I think it was the Sean Connery film. I would have the big prototype plane that actually never flew in real life. There's that big wing thing.
Oh no, that was from Raiders, the big German plane.
Yes.
I don't know if it is that technically an artifact.
Is that an artifact?
It is
That's
to
okay.
us, but it's not in the 30s. So
It was called Horton, wasn't it?
yeah.
Horton, big German plane that never saw action. Only 3 prototypes were ever built.
Oh, that's
I don't quite know how it made it into the film, but
It shouldn't have been there, but they were being imaginative.
That's a
artifacts.
really good one. I hadn't thought about that. That's a really good one.
It's a bit left field, but it's a good answer, I think.
It really is a good answer. Oh, very good. Very good. Okay. Am I in on this as well?
Yeah, go.
Do we get to ask you a question or
No, she's asking herself.
Oh, okay.
I actually think if I am to choose an artifact, I'm going to choose Sir Richard's tomb, because I'm really impressed by how well preserved a whole skeleton can be in in a sewer system in Venice.
Yes, actually, he did. Clearly, the longevity thing was working for him.
It's not the best preservation conditions down there, so I was really impressed there.
No, the only thing I'd say is he probably did need a little bit of moisturizer, but otherwise he was looking great.
He is.
I forgot about that. Brings up memories.
Yeah, rats.
Okay.
Yes, rats. Yes.
There were rats.
Ugh.
Okay.
Who was down there that didn't like the rats? It wasn't Sean Connery, was it?
No, it was Elsa.
Yeah. Yes. Oh no, Indy's father didn't like the rats either.
No, I think none of them like the rats.
No.
yourself up,
No.
Okay, question number 2.
Question number 2. Okay.
The cat's hooked himself up. Hang on.
Oh, it's Oscar here. Hi, Oscar.
Sorry, everyone. Hello, we have a 4th guest.
Hi,
Oscar the cat.
No, you've got yourself hooked up.
Go ahead with the question, Jane. I'll free the cat.
I'll do it.
Oscar wants to play along as well.
He does, yes. You silly cat.
Oh, is he stuck? Oh.
Yes, he got his claw stuck on the carpet. I mean, on the chair. Yeah. Sorry, I can't multitask.
Okay, question number 2. Ian, should we start with you?
Nope.
Which indie sidekick is the best in your opinion, and why? And I have 3 to choose from if you want to. You can pick your own.
I can't remember the character's name. Little Asian boy.
Oh, she'll give you some choices.
I have Sala, and I have Marcus Brody, and I have Short Round.
He's the little Chinese boy.
Yes.
Short Round.
Short Round, him. Short Round, the little Chinese boy.
Why?
I don't know. It was just his demeanor. I think he was just a bundle of joy, wasn't he?
He's not nuts. He's crazy.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
He's really
just the way he spoke.
He's really sweet.
Yeah.
No, that was the one I was going to say. I did say little Chinese boy, but I couldn't remember the character's name.
No, I keep forgetting Short Round's names.
Oh, he was really sweet. That's a good answer. Good answer. What about you, Andrew? Same question.
I think Marcus Brody the most, only because I like his character. I like how he combines being sensible and in some ways and knowledgeable with being a complete buffoon when it comes to everything to do with ordinary daily life. I think I see him as a kindred spirit, which is why I like him so much. The pen is mightier than the sword.
You basically are Marcus Brody, Andrew.
I am Marcus Brody, and I get lost in my own museum all the time.
Which one's Marcus Brody? I'm trying to think.
He's the old guy who's the friend of both Indy and Indy's dad.
That's not played by Jeremy Irons, is it?
No, it was. Now I remembered his name in the last video, but it's fallen out of my brain now.
It'll come back. It will come back.
It will come back. Guys, remind us because I'm too busy getting lost in my own mental
Yes.
museum.
Every museum has a Marcus Brody, one of those total uber geeks who is so good at their job but they cannot function in the outside world. If you take them out of the museum, they're gone. Yeah.
That's me. Yes. What about you, Jane? Who would be your favorite?
I'm gonna say Sala then, because I think he's the voice of reason. I think especially in the first movie where he's the one who's asking Indy, if there is something there at Tanis, it's not something man is supposed to meddle with. And I think he's really good with Marcus Brody. The two of them has a really lovely sort of little payoff. I do like Salah. I think he's very good, but they're all of them good. Oh, good reply, guys. I thought I had you with this one, but no, you're really good. You're really good. Okay, let's move on. Next question. This is a bit of a tricky one. Favorite indie moment from any of the films?
Oh, who's that one aimed at?
Who's going first?
Anyone who comes up with a good reply first.
Okay, I've got one. Indy, when he smacks the German colonel and throws him out of the Zeppelin, and then turns to face the horrified passengers and says, "No ticket," and everyone just goes, "Oh,
that's
I've actually got two.
Go for it, Ian. Go for it.
I've actually got two. My first one is where I can't remember they've got a Chinese actor doing his martial arts bit display in front of Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones just pulls out his gun and shoots him.
I love
and the other one is that plane I mentioned, the Horton. Well, I think they get it going round in circles, and it's just machine gunning everything.
Oh yes, because Marion's in it and decides to be helpful, and
that's actually a really good scene as well.
Yeah, and you, Jane, what's your?
I gotta say, I know it's probably a bit obvious, but I gotta say, in The Last Crusade, when Indy's going through those 3 tests at the end before he gets to the Holy Grail, because I think this is where Steven Spielberg's genius really shines through, because the entire build-up of that film has been getting to those 3 tests. And then we get to them and it's sort of the climax, but he puts a time pressure on Indy because his father has been shot and he now has to do them under pressure. And I think Steven Spielberg is so brilliant because we know these 3 tests are coming. We've been hearing all about them throughout the film. And then suddenly, when Indy gets to do them, he has to do them under this immense emotional pressure. And also, we've kind of grown fond of Jones Sr. at this point. So we don't really want him to die, but now he's lying there. And I think this is where Spielberg is just brilliant.
It is a wonderful piece of storytelling, and you're quite right. I've never thought about it that way, but yes, because you do get the clever line earlier in the film, I think, where he says, "Oh, what do these 3 clues mean, Dad?" And he says, "Oh, I have no idea," and so he has to work them out really fast.
Yeah.
Am I misremembering this? But is there a scene in The Last Crusade with Joe Senior where is he sat in a sidecar, flailing around with his satchel briefcase?
The motorcycle.
They escape in a motorbike. Yeah, and he's in the sidecar trying to hang on to his stuff and his umbrella, which
that's it.
Yeah, no, that was a good question, Jane. I really enjoyed that one.
Oh, that's a brilliant scene as well. Okay, I got more questions, guys. Okay, Ian, this one is for you. So both of you, but let's go with you first. Your favorite villain and why? And I got three choices if you want to. In the first movie, René Belloc, the other archaeologist who's helping the Nazis to find the Ark, or Mola Ram from the Temple of Doom, or Walther Donovan from The Last Crusade.
I'm going to probably go with the middle one, only because that's the one that for some mad reason I remember in the Temple of Doom.
Yes.
Just yeah, all that nonsense going on with the cult that's in the Temple of Doom.
He was really frightening, wasn't he? He did haunt my young dreams a couple of times,
and the entire heart thing. That
God, the heart thing.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, what was it? What was that cult called in the Temple of Doom? It was
Thuggies, wasn't
Thuggies.
it?
That's it, Thuggies.
The Thucky cult, yes. Oh, that was scary. And he was quite charismatic, you know, his eyes and
Temple of Doom. Was that the one that Short Round was in?
Yes, yeah, that's Temple of Doom.
Because I remember him running around the Temple of Doom, the whole cave thing. He's running around trying to free everyone.
Yes, yeah, all the children who'd been kept prisoner down there. Yeah. But I know what you mean about Mullah Ram and the intensity. It's the eyes. He's got
very intense. Very intense. Yes. Oh, that's a good answer. What about you, Andrew?
Ooh, I think it's a very tough choice. They're all awesome in different ways. I think I like Donovan because although you don't see that much of him in Last Crusade, he's a very cleverly nuanced villain, and I love the shock value when you finally realize he's a villain. Well, you know, when the voice comes out of nowhere in the castle in Germany saying, "It's because Dr. Jones didn't take my advice. Didn't I tell you not to trust anybody?" And the first time I watched that film, I was like, "Oh, it's you! But you financed this whole thing, and you're an American. How could you do this?" And Donovan, very, very good, well-developed villain.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. I'm gonna go with Belloc then, and it's actually not because you guys picked the two others, but I actually do like Belloc because I think in a way he's indie. He's just turned to the other side. But there is this wonderful scene where they're sitting in a cafe chatting, and just before Indy's being rescued by this whole group of children. And Belloc is actually having some really good points where he's saying, you want to find this as well. You have that same passion, you know, you're curious about what's out there as well. And I think he knows what triggers Indy because this kind of, you know, enthusiasm comes from him. So I actually think the two of them are more alike than maybe Indy wants to admit.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't remember, but it was just I'm going to put myself down for a crash course to rewatch all the films because I don't remember the character, so I'm going to have to rewatch them again.
Do you remember the French guy? Very, very charismatic, and in the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indy does all the hard work to get this little golden idol head. And then Belloc just turns up with some heavily armed allies and just takes it off him after he's done all the dangerous.
Some German heavily armed allies.
No, it's indigenous South American peoples, the tribe who live around this area. Although later in the film, when they're looking for the Lost Ark, he has got a lot of heavily armed Germans with him.
I can see I've got some homework to do.
That's all right. Gives you an excuse to crash course rewatch them and.
It's better than watching that documentary Braveheart, isn't it?
Oh, well, actually, I can point you in the direction of a really, really good YouTube channel that covers Braveheart in some detail. In fact,
I know it's really mad. Yeah, I know it's really mad and straying away from Raiders, Indiana Jones and that. But it's like, when you've got all them good Scottish actors, why do we get an Australian to play?
Also,
even more intriguing, why is the statue of William Wallace at Stirling such a dead cert for Mel Gibson?
It's coincidence. Anyway, back to Indiana Jones.
Back to Indy.
Anyway, that was the funniest Scottish accent I've ever heard. I've never heard a Scottish accent. I don't know which part of Scotland he was from, but that was a very distinct Scottish accent.
It was very specific, wasn't it?
You should have got me in on the Braveheart film, because I'm not sure if you mentioned about the fact of how they mismatched all the various timelines, and either Wallace would have been ancient or a little boy when he's supposed to have met the Queen of France.
Oh yes, well you need to go to our video and comment.
I
on
will.
that.
I'll have to do that anyway.
You probably missed that. Okay, I got a couple of questions back, guys. Okay, Andrew, let's begin with you. Best indie location, and I got 3 if you want to. Either the Peruvian jungle,
Okay.
the Temple of Doom from Temple of Doom, or Petra from The Last Crusade.
Okay,
Ooh.
I'm going to go with Petra because Petra is the most. I find Petra gorgeous. I realize Punkot Palace is gorgeous too, but if you're specifically looking at the temple, that's a lot less gorgeous. So yeah, I'll go with Petra because it's beautiful. It has this wonderful air of mystique about it, and because, as you know, Jane, I have an unhealthy passion for 1930s style pulp fiction. Whenever there's stories that involve lost civilizations or that kind of, first humans who've been here in centuries, for some reason, Petra always pops up in my mind.
Yeah. Well, good answer.
I'm trying to think of mine. You guys might be able to put a location to it, but it is that I'm not sure which one of the films it is, but I think Indy. It's where Indy shoots the martial arts guy.
Oh, in the marketplace.
Oh
no. No. I think this was up in the cave because I remember there being a cave, the entrance to a cave. Pretty sure. I'm not sure if Indy's trying to escape through the entrance.
Oh, I can't remember that.
Do you know the bit I mean?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the bit. I mean, remember getting when you're trying to drag your memories out your brain. Sometimes you get them all juddled up. But I'm pretty sure it's the bit where the martial arts guy or the enemy is framed in the mouth of the cave.
Ooh, I'm just trying to think where that one.
And Indy shoots him and then escapes.
I'll have to watch them again.
Yeah.
But failing that, we'll have to watch them again because I want to see where that bit is. Because I remember that for some mad reason.
We'll have to do an indie evening, and I'll introduce you to the adventures of young Indiana.
India,
yeah, they're really good, honestly.
But failing that, I think I'd have to go with the Temple of Doom location.
Yeah,
very scary.
Yeah,
atmospheric and scary.
It was done really well. It was done really well.
Yeah,
it was. Or the whole set for where they've mocked up the German Nazi plane, the Horton prototype.
Oh, the airfield and
that set up.
Yeah, okay.
That's a really good setup too. That you're right. Yes. Oh, good answers.
How about you then, Jane?
I gotta say Petra, don't I? It's just such a beautiful, beautiful facade, and I really wish I'd seen it. If you have any of you guys, please comment below, or if you have pictures even, that's better. Put them up there. We want pictures. It's such a beautiful location, and
Petra, yeah.
Yeah,
facade, and there's no surprise why this is sort of the pride of Jordan. It's known as the Rose City because of the color of the sandstone. So it has this sort of almost like pinkish kind of color to it, and it's been in use for like since 7,000 BC. And I think it had its peak time around the 2nd century BC or something like that, when there were maybe around 20 to 25,000 inhabitants in the city space. And it was incredibly advanced civilizations. They were incredible craftsmen, stone carvers and agriculture and water harvesting. There were some incredible cultural advances going on there, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. So yeah, I gotta say Petra. That's just fantastic. But let us know, guys, what locations you preferred in all movies, all 3 movies. We would love to.
It's just so many.
That's many. Yeah. That's why this quickfire round is impossible.
No, it's good. What about the other set? And I'm trying to remember which film it's in. It might have been in one of the original ones, or was it Last Crusade, where the Germans open up the Holy Grail, the Lost Ark.
That's on the Greek island, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
the unnamed Greek island, which
and all the spirits just gone wander around, and all. I think all the Nazis die because obviously they're all looking.
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
And I think Indiana Jones and he's. I want to say the heroine all covering their eyes and not looking.
Yeah, it's Indian Marion in that one, I think.
Yes.
You know the one, you know the scene I mean?
I do, yes, where they're tied up at the end.
Yes.
At the end of the valley, that is.
It's
such a tell her to close her eyes and not look.
Yeah.
The only scary bit is that Nazi, I can never remember his name, where his eye sort of falls in and blood's coming because he's looking and blood sort of, I don't know what's happening.
The Gestapo guy, yes, with his black hand store. He's the one I keep referring to as Hair Flick because he does have a name, but it keeps falling out of my head. And
he does look like Hair Flick, he really does.
Yeah. Got to hand it to the Nazis. Uniformity, they got that down to a T.
Are we the bad guys?
Are we the bad guys?
Guys, I got one question left in this quick fire round, which isn't very quick at all, is it?
The best ones never are.
Okay, which film has the best action sequence and what makes it stand out?
Oh. Now I want to say, I'm trying to think. I'm gonna go. I think it's the Last Crusade again. I think the bit where they're going. Is it the German Africa Corps convoys going through the ravine?
Oh, with the tank and everything.
That's the one.
It's the fictitious Republic of Hatay, and they have lent them a tank and a lot of escorts.
That's right.
Yeah, I would go for that one as well.
Oh, that's really good. Yes. Oh, I'd almost forgotten that one, of course.
Yeah. I think it's the longest continuous action sequence you get in any of the indie films because just so much is going on and it goes on for ages.
Is there something? Is it indie that's? I forget what vehicle he's in, but is he racing along the top of the ravine trying to stop this convoy or something?
Yep. So he's got a horse, and this is what makes it so incredibly.
I suppose a horse is a vehicle.
Oh, kind of a vehicle, yes, yeah, but you know, yeah, it's also the one that really skates towards the edges of believability, but they just about stay within it. You know, things happen at the right moment to let other things happen, and.
Oh, it's such a good sequence, isn't it?
Yeah. Can I? Jane. What about you?
No, I was thinking. Wasn't there, Andrew? I think a comment in the first Indiana Jones video we did about that missile that Indy is firing at one point. That's actually from, I think, much later.
Yes, continuity error. So he's holding a rocket launcher, which he trains on the Ark of the Covenant. And that is a 1960s Russian weapon he has. Because, you know, funnily enough, being a bit of a geek, I did always wonder about that because the Germans, because the implication is he's stolen it from a German supply thing, but the Germans didn't have anything like that until the mid-1940s.
Were they trying to pass it off as a Panzerschreck?
Yes, they were. And again, that didn't exist until after World War II had started. I mean, weirdly enough, ironically, the US Army brings in the bazooka well before the Germans have an equivalent. But there's no way Indy could have found a US bazooka in the middle of a German base. I mean, this is not Call of Duty, you know. You don't just find random US stuff in the middle of a German base. So, but that is a very geeky thing. I liked the implication that he just had something that could wreck the Ark, therefore it gives him a negotiation point.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But also that he's being kind of called out on his bluff because, of course, he can't destroy it.
No, he can't. And goodness, and I know we touched this we touched on this in our previous video, which is all about the how brave they were in making these scripts where you've got these really quite religiously significant artifacts. Can you imagine the fallout from the general public, especially in the context of the early 1980s, if Indy had blown up the Ark of the Covenant?
Yes.
Ooh, that would have there would have been no sequels.
No.
I can promise you that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm actually, guys, I'm going to introduce you now a little bit. Someone we haven't talked about yet, because my favorite action sequence, and I'm going to refer now to the musical score. We need to introduce John Williams at some point.
We do, yes.
My favorite scene has a very specific score called Scherzo for Motorcycle and Orchestra. And I think from the name, you know which scene I mean.
Yes, it's when they've escaped from the castle, isn't
Yes.
it? Indy and his dad are roaring off, and those German cyclists are going after them.
Oh, right, yes.
That's the one. And there is a wonderful musical score put together for that scene. It's called Scherzo for Motorcycle and Orchestra. A scherzo in musical terms is like a very quick-paced quick tempo piece of music. So it's very often used in like chase scenes, or when something fast-paced is going on. There's a very sort of quick beat to it, either done by percussion instruments or like running violins or something like that. And I'm going to link to a version of that I was watching live in concert about a year ago. It's from the Danish National Symphony Orchestra, and they did a wonderful version of this piece of music. They also did a wonderful version of a theme called Parade of the Slave Children from the Temple of Doom. I'm going to link to that one as well. But I think everyone has like a favorite Indiana Jones theme. So link, guys, to your favorite version. I know there are also some where John Williams is conducting himself. But I just love this piece because it's so fast-paced. And when you look at the orchestra as they play it, you can see everything that's going on, all the little layers of sounds and noises coming in. And I think what's wonderful about Scherzo as well, sorry, I'm getting a bit geeky now, is...
No, geek away.
You can, because you have a very fast-paced piece of music, you can put in the sound effects integrated really well in the music. So when you have like gunfire or explosions or something going on, it's very easy to integrate into a sort of da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da sound anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that's done so brilliantly in this scene. So I really love, I'm going to link to that, guys, and let us know your favorite soundtrack as well.
Oh yes. Do you have a favorite?
I was going to think. I know the scene Jane's on about. They call it like a staccato effect.
Yeah. When you've got the rapid,
like a machine gun effect.
Yeah. That's the one.
When you have a broken. That's probably not the right English word for it, but when you have a note that's played quickly and then it stops, so it doesn't go on. It's not like a note when you play a piano key and you keep it down, it's going down. With a staccato, you go dang, 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 sort of very quickly.
It's just to increase the tension and the anxiety, isn't it? Will they get away? Will,
Yeah, and they do it so well in these films that you often don't even notice, do you? It's programming you as you're watching it. But no, I know what you mean about the motorbike chase scene, because there's a little bit of it's a continuation from when they're fleeing the castle.
Isn't it amazing? You think you're on about musical things, like when you're watching a film like the Indiana Jones films, where you don't realize how important the musical score is. You probably don't even give it a second thought.
No, you don't,
because you're just into the film. But you wouldn't be as excited if it wasn't for that musical score. But you don't really notice it.
I think that's why sometimes the music becomes like a character in itself, because sometimes the music is actually the dialogue, because there's not anyone talking in that scene. It's mainly just the chase and lots of sound effects.
Yes, yeah.
But the music, and as you said, Andrew, you were humming. What you started humming was actually the German theme. That's the Nazi theme.
Oh, yes.
Put in and integrated into the overall Indiana Jones theme there. So whenever you have the cameras on the Nazis, you have that little da 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 da.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful. It's wonderfully put together. But you're so right, Ian. You know, the music just becomes part of the script almost.
Yeah, yeah, and it's beautifully done. I mean, it all suits typical John Williams. The man really, really, the music is so beautifully crafted for purpose.
But if it wasn't there,
yeah,
it would be so different. Even though you don't give it much thought, but if it wasn't there, the film would be so different.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. In fact, I can't imagine any of the Indiana Jones films without the music. Come to think of it.
No, it was.
I can't think of my own. Can you think of your own? I know the scene Jane's on about, but
no, and favorite music element in the film. To be honest, the soundtrack to the films, I could just listen to the whole collection from start to finish. I don't think I've got a favorite.
Could you listen to it without the film? Just in the audio sense, or
what you mean, just the music on
it?
Oh yeah, I have done.
You?
I've got the CDs, so I have done many times. Got me through my A levels.
And the thing is, and that's another good point, Ian. That when you listen to the music, you see the scenes. You got the scenes in your head, because I think the music is just that powerful. You know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. And good catchy music stays with you, and you apply it to other things as well, I find, because there must be a lot of films and scenes out there that have homages to Williams' work in Indiana Jones. And,
I think you're right, Dan. I think if you watch the films and then maybe give it a week and then just listen to the soundtrack, you would see the film in your head.
Yeah, yeah.
You would. But that's John Williams for you. He's just good.
Yeah,
brilliant. I think it was really something to listen to this live in an orchestra setting, because you just never think about, and you're so right about that, Ian, you never think about all those layers going into the music. It's almost like you don't even notice it when you're watching the film, but it would just be a completely different kind of story if the music wasn't there.
You don't notice it on a conscious level, but your brain notices it, but you don't notice it you're not conscious about it.
Yeah.
Right. You're so right. Oh, anyway, that was the music.
That was a really good point, Jane. I'm glad we touched on that one. It's
Someone's been doing their homework, haven't they?
Yeah. Jane always does very, very thorough prep, and it always shows.
There was actually one other thing. This is not part of my quick fire questions, guys, but there was actually one thought I got the other day when I was thinking about these movies, because Andrew, you and I talked about last time how well these have aged.
Yeah.
But I was actually thinking, are there things where you feel this scene or this bit or this dialogue definitely hasn't aged very well, and today it would have been done completely differently? I couldn't think of many, but I'm guessing there are always some.
There will always be some. I think that I think in terms of characterization of the female leads, I don't know if anyone would ever have the character of Willie from Temple of Doom, or at least if they did, they would. I'll use the phrase, they would upgun her a bit, so that her role is a bit more assertive and pragmatic. Because really, I mean, for a very talented actress in the role, she did spend a lot of time screaming and needing to be rescued. And I don't think present day storytelling would be so favorable to that approach anymore. But aside from that, maybe very obvious one, no, I can't think of anything I would do differently, perhaps.
No, that's a good point. Because actually both Marion and also Ilsa in the third one, Ilsa is probably, as you pointed out last time, Andrew, the most interesting, because she's the most complex, because you're constantly in doubt about where does she stand. Is she even when she says she's a Nazi, you're constantly a little bit in doubt about, is she actually, or what's going on with her?
Yeah, and she's very capable. This is the thing. Marion and Ilsa are both very, very capable people, and they've got very different strengths, but they are undoubtedly very strong characters. Willie kind of is a strong character when she gets angry enough, but she does spend too much time worrying about her nails. And
oh dear. we're gonna upset the feminists out there, aren't we?
Well, you see that's the funny thing. It complicates Willie's legacy in terms of how her role in the film ages, I think. But in so many other respects, I mean, in certain things, the indie films are I think can't be bested, especially in special effects and world creation. I know I banged on about world creation last time, but how well they constructed some of their sets. The tank, the tank you see in Last Crusade doesn't represent a type that ever existed, but it's close. It's close to something the Brits and Americans were developing in 1918. But I hadn't realized this until quite recently. To make the film, they actually built a full-size working mock-up of the tank. So there was model work involved, including when they pushed it over the cliff. But the actual bit the actors stand on and that they interact with, that is actually a complete working tank. Well, I say working, but you know, it can drive around and do stuff.
I didn't know that.
So
it's actually really detailed when you think about it.
Yeah.
I think it's just a vehicle, and they've just basically built a carcass around it, to portray the tank.
I used to think that, but they actually built the tank. They didn't bother armoring it.
What, out of metal?
They actually built a tank with working treads.
That cost them thousands.
Yeah, I bet it did. Yes, but by then the Indiana Jones franchise was doing so well that if Spielberg had said, "I'm making film number 3, it's going to be brilliant. I need money to build a tank," they'd gone, "Yeah, okay, take what you need."
Exactly. But get back. What was the character you mentioned? Was the character's name Willie? Was that a strange name?
Willie.
Strange name for a woman. Eh?
Willie Scott. Yes,
Willie Scott.
She's the nightclub singer.
I think that was the perception. Because who was the over? I know you got the Indiana Jones series, but which studio was overseeing it? Was it Warner or Disney or?
Good question.
What I mean is, either that was, I think that was their perception, because a lot of those big studios were, unfortunately, were predominantly run by old white men, and they saw, and that's how they saw women as these weak, vulnerable creatures that needed saving all the time.
Yeah, although interestingly enough, the actress who plays Willie, Kate Capshaw, who at the time was also Catherine Spielberg, as she became, she was Spielberg's wife. So you know, it's
nothing like marrying into a franchise.
Well, I'm not too sure what the chronology of their relationship was, so I don't know.
I don't know if they were married before or after this, actually. But in a way, I think, because I think she's probably the weakest of the female characters. But I think also that she actually did give her some credibility, because in a way, it's not easy to make a character who is, let's just say it, she is a little shallow, you know, it's not easy to make her relatable, but in a way she kind of does. I think she's doing her really well. She's portraying her really well.
Was her character in the original film? Was she in the first film?
No, she only appears in Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. Yes, I know the one you mean. Yeah.
The blonde American lady. Yeah.
Because it's very easy to make her sort of caricature-is almost.
Yeah.
But I actually think she did a good job with her. And that entire scene with the in the Bangkok Palace with the dinner.
Yes.
That's just not easy to be so silly and fainting and, you know, all of that going on. But she actually does that really well.
She does. She is a really great actress. And I think she performs. It's actually quite a challenging role to play when you've got to be, as you say, you've got to be shallow, but not too shallow, because you want the character to be relatable as well. And to be fair, she does grow. Yes. She does grow. She definitely has a character arc over the film, which is surprising. There's still elements of her old self by the end of it, but I think she's become a bit more grounded by the end of the film.
But I think you're right, Andrew. She would probably have been very different had the movie been shot now.
Yeah, yeah. I think one cannot really write that kind of female character anymore. Probably a good thing that you can't.
Yes.
It had its time, but yeah, I think things have moved on a bit. Women can do stuff. Things have moved on.
What? I could do more than have their hair done and have their nails painted.
Oh yeah. No, all that
Really?
started. Yeah. You should watch some movies, Ian.
That
Wow.
was so much easier when all you had to do was scream and someone like Harrison Ford would come and rescue you. But no one comes along.
Now you got to do stuff.
Well, now you've got to rescue Harrison Ford, which is actually, not that bad as these things go. It's yeah.
Oh, bless. Okay, guys. Well, I've asked a lot of questions. What do we need to touch on?
Oh, go on, Andy.
Well, because I'm a complete weirdo with niche interests, it would be very wrong of me to get through 2 videos on Indiana Jones without mentioning the airship, the unnamed deregistered airship that they travel on in The Last Crusade. Because she only gets a tiny bit of screen time, and she's very clearly a Hindenburg knockoff, but she's awesome. And
like half-sized.
No, I think they got the proportions right. And me being an airship geek, I was looking at the interior of the passenger gondola when Indy and Henry are in there, and there's the grand piano, and there's nice lightweight furniture and all the other bits, and
all the Nazi party members are enjoying themselves.
Well, some of them were Americans going home, so depending on where she was headed.
Yeah.
But this is very embarrassing. Right. I mean, most normal human beings freeze frame or pause the Indiana Jones videos at certain points. I won't go into too much detail about that, but I'm going to reveal a lot now. I sometimes freeze the bit at which Indy and his dad are running down to steal the plane, because you can see the crew corridor and the duralumin framing of the airship, and it's just it makes me happy. All right, it makes me happy.
No, I'm just trying to remember the scene. I'm looking into my own brain.
It only lasts 2 seconds. There's literally them just running down this corridor and Indy yelling, "Come on, Dad!"
I think you'd be saying that they just didn't give it enough screen time.
They did not give it enough screen time.
You should contact Steven Spielberg. That should have been. But not being funny, Andrew. I remember thinking the first time I watched that scene, they were huge.
Yeah, they were.
They were like, I don't even know what to compare them to. How huge were they? You would know this. How huge were they?
Well, I mean, the very largest ones, you're getting up into the 700 feet in length range. They were massive, great. And I think it's the spectacle and the wonder that, something that big actually flies so effortlessly.
700, that's like twice the length of HMS Hood, isn't it?
No, not quite that long, but it's basically it's an ocean liner in the sky, which is really awesome. And I've always found, and again, 1930s Pulp Fiction, airships tend to feature a lot. So
how did they do that in the film? Did they because I don't know, when was that film made?
It was in the mid to late 80s, that one. Now they
probably weren't so big on CGI back then, were they? In the 80s?
Not at all. Well, I happen to know parts of it were actually filmed in, I think, the Zeppelin Museum, because they have a mock-up of the interior.
Right. So they filmed that from certain angles to get the
and for the external scenes, they just used a model, which is deeply disappointing, because if you can afford to build a tank, why can you not build a Zeppelin?
Oh God!
Although I appreciate for a 10-minute scene that is probably excessive.
Can you imagine the budget you'd need to build?
Oh yes, and can you imagine the safety as well? Because
don't even go there. Oh yeah. Good. But they were just insanely unmaneuverable. They were so clumsy in a way.
Yeah. If you got them in the right conditions, they were incredibly graceful. But you're right; these things are not they're not piloted, they're commanded like a ship. So you have your captain giving the orders and your helmsman turns, and there's always that inertia while it's slowly and the film captured that very well, because the thing starts ponderously to, you know, when Indy notices the shadows move and he goes, oh, they're taking us back to Germany, and then you get this really slow turn.
They weren't as agile as a fighter plane, were they?
No, but in a sense they didn't need to be, because their whole purpose was to just go from point A to point B, and the advantage of them was they could do it faster than anything else, faster and further than anything else. Because when you think about it, in the 1930s, people always remember Hindenburg going up in the US, but they forget all about the very successful passenger service that ran from Germany to South America. And a Zeppelin would get you down there in half the time a steamship would, probably less, and it's a continuous journey. And even more significantly, no regular aircraft had the range to fly from Europe to South America without stopping. So the passenger airship, for that very brief window in the 30s, has a place, because it can do something that no one else can, and it can do it in a level of luxury that nothing else can offer.
I know it's straying away from the films, but do you reckon we'll see? Do you reckon in this climate change, shall we say? Do you reckon we'll see less jets and more airships, Andy?
I wish, but we'll never see the big ones again. We'll never see the enormous ones, I don't think.
Could they carry sort of 200-300 people the same, like a 747?
Hindenburg could carry about 60 passengers and a lot of cargo, and she was the biggest passenger carrying one that ever served.
I'm not going to be able to make it pay with those numbers.
Well, no, but then it was for the super rich. So you probably remember, I mean, actually, I can pull it back to Indy. That scene when they're in the passenger gondola, you look at all the other passengers.
Yes.
They're incredibly well-dressed.
Uber rich.
Yeah, these are businessmen, they're ambassadors, they're... and in fact, actually, the reason when Hindenburg crashes, partly because they rushed her timetable, the hurry was all these prominent people wanted to be back in England to catch the coronation of the new king. So it's that kind of person who travels on the Zeppelin. They're very...
basically, us three wouldn't get on there other than staff.
Other than staff, no. Actually, I want to know, how the heck did Indy and his dad afford to buy tickets for the Zeppelin? Because this is, you know, this is millionaire level.
I think we spotted a flaw in the film. How did they get the budget for that?
I'm so sorry. I've just ruined the film. How did
Maybe some questions are not meant to be answered, guys?
No, they're not. They're not. Oh, mind you, they'd realized Donovan was back. It would be so funny if they were still using Donovan's money after he'd revealed himself to be a villain.
Maybe
I have a blank check from a bad guy.
I don't know how much would a professor make back then? I don't know what maybe Henry Senior would. No, probably not. Probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the other Indiana Jones geeks could answer that one.
Yes. How much would an average professor? I mean, I'm sorry. Obviously, it's Henry Jones. You know, above average professor make.
Yeah. How did Jones Senior and Jones Junior afford to get a ticket for that airship?
Well, actually, he might have done it the way he does so many other things.
What, just sneaked on,
beat someone up, and took the tickets. Because
probably.
Yeah. I think it's how he gets the steward's uniform on the airship. You know, he sort of puts his arm around the guy, says, "Can I have a chat with you?" And you don't see him smack the poor guy and take his clothes, but you know, it's archaeology with a difference. Are you missing a tool or something important? Just take someone off to one side, hit them, take what you need.
I didn't realise how violent these archaeologists were.
Oh, well, Jane, shall we tell him how violent archaeology really gets?
You don't want to know. As Indy's father say at one point, you call this archaeology?
Yes. And he's quite angry about it too, isn't he?
That's the reason. But just imagine on the Zeppelin, just imagine the first time you saw one sort of coming in, just slowly going over you. That must have been, I would have run for the hills, to be honest.
Yeah, they were truly amazing things, and it's a shame that they proved to be a bit of a dead end. But,
actually, I think me and Andy would have just been stood there, mouths agape and eyes wide open, just in awe.
Well, I realise this doesn't apply to most of the human race because most humans are quite sensible. but
What?
well, like you and Jane, really.
You two would have just been standing there gawking, and I would have been like,
oh no, I would actually want to go on one. You see, this is the thing. They exercise this magic on certain people, and and you know, despite the risks and everything, you'll be like, oh heck yes, absolutely.
That is a good point. If you saw one, you want to get on one, don't you?
Yeah,
Captain Mate. Can I get a ride, please, mister?
Yeah, because there's nothing like it. And if you you know, with the benefit of historical hindsight, if you could pick and choose your voyages, then obviously go on one of the successful ones.
What you mean, like the British? Was it R series?
Oh, the R101. Yeah, we see that's another one. Never mix politics with aircraft design because it ends badly. And
good point.
Yeah, no. But
now you're talking airship travel, mate.
Yeah, no. Sorry, guys, I've dragged us well off Indiana Jones. We're drifting. So anyway, yeah, that was just the one thing I wanted to throw in with the indie movies.
Absolutely, brilliant point, Andrew. That's actually that, and it was a good scene, and they got some brilliant details. And you do get the impression that this is very much for the upper class, because even the civilians on board, you know, they're really dressed.
Yeah. And I like that it's also the setting for one of the most deliciously uncomfortable exchanges between Indy and his dad.
Refresh our memories.
Well, they have that really awkward conversation because and it really starts because Indy has all these unresolved daddy issues that he wants to work through. And he gets treated to, I think Henry is just oblivious, like so many driven, focused people are. He just does not see what the problem is.
These typical "you were never around, Dad."
Yeah, and it was just like, did I ever tell you to wash up, clean up, you know, brush your teeth, that kind of thing? No, I respected your privacy and I taught you self-reliance. Oh, wonderful, thank you.
Well, thank you. Cookies.
Anna's just brought us homemade cookies.
Very nice, thank you.
I love this.
Would you like one?
I'd offer you one.
Thank you. I can almost smell them.
Sorry, we're torturing you a bit here. These are really nice.
Oh, that looks lovely. That well done, Anna.
And the rest of the people in
Cyberland.
Oh, nice cookies.
Yeah, so it's wonderful because Henry just doesn't get what the problem is. So it's like, I taught you self-reliance, and Indy, of course, hits him with that beautiful line. It was like, what you taught me was I was less important to you than people who've been dead for 700 years or however long it was. And I think both men really need to hear what the other's got to say, but they don't know how to process it, which is what makes it such a touching scene.
It's actually, that question is actually a very poignant question. And I love the reply where he just go, well, I'm here now. What do you want to talk about?
You're right, Jane. And
I know.
It completely gets Indy, doesn't it? It's like, what? What do I say to that?
It sort of looks at him like, it doesn't quite work like that, Dad.
I can't think of anything. Well, what are you complaining about then?
Let's get on with this. Poor Indy.
I love the exchanges. And it really spiced things up having Sean Connery there. And that whole ping pong game with Indy, that's just fantastic. It's just fantastic in that film.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, lucky Ilsa. She had Sean Connery and she had Harrison Ford. I hope they paid her well for this.
Oh right, I thought, where's he going with this?
Sorry, that's
another brilliant line where he goes, "I was the next man."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh dear. Talk to me.
Dear. On that note, how do we wrap up, guys?
Well, I really love the line you chose for ending the first one. It belongs in a museum, but you can't really reuse that. Okay, what do you have, like a favorite indie sign-off? Indiana's version of "I'll be back."
Oh God, that's what I think.
No, that's right. There's so many, aren't there? How do you want to end this one off, Jane? Before I drag it even further downwards.
Oh gosh, I don't know. There must be like a really great quote or something. There must be right. Guys, let us know. How do you wrap up three fantastic Indiana Jones movies? There will probably, you know, like days after we've done this, we're going to come up with a brilliant line.
Yeah, just I should have
Trying to
put
think.
some thought into this, shouldn't I?
You can tell we've done our homework, can't you?
Yeah. No ticket.
That is
Yeah,
a good line. That is a good line.
Yeah.
To wrap it up, I don't know. I can only bring it back to that scene where like you said in reality what was really happening on the set, but just that scene where Indiana Jones, this guy is trying to bamboozle him with his martial arts to say, I'm going to beat you up really bad because I'm so good at martial arts. And then Indiana Jones just has that expression of like, oh really, and pulls out his gun and shoots him as if like, thank God that's over with.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if that can be classified as a sign off.
The build-up is so great because you're kind of expecting there's going to be a really huge fight scene coming up now, and then it just ends like bang.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
So
yeah,
that anti-climax of an ending just goes, oh really?
Oh yes. Now me dragging things down even further. Thanks for the reminder, guys. Because of course, when they were filming those bits on the North Africa sets, they had a bit of an outbreak of, I think it was dysentery among the cast, and there was supposed to, I believe, originally have been a bit of a fist fight between Indy and the guy with the sword.
So there was supposed to be a fight scene.
There was supposed to be, but because Indy had really bad, or more accurately, Harrison Ford had dysentery when that scene was filmed, he couldn't really. He couldn't risk leaping about, let's put it that way. So the script was amended to just draw your pistol and shoot the guy, which is funny because it ends up being one of the most iconic moments in film. And I've seen it parodied in other films. The ultimate homage you can pay to something is to parody it.
Yes.
But that's how Indiana Jones's character responded is pretty much how I'd see some Western white guy react, because you wouldn't expect him to be like genned up on martial arts, would you? And if this guy was as good as he was like portraying at martial arts, you're thinking of, if you didn't have a gun, you're in for a rough time, Indy.
Yes.
Yeah, and actually, it's a very rational response. It's like, that guy's got a sword and he clearly knows how to use it. Okay, I'm going to play to my strengths.
Exactly, play to your strengths.
There's that brief moment where he's turning around after he's shot him, and you can just tell he's going, okay, it wasn't worth the bother anyway.
Yeah, that wasted a bit of my time, didn't it? Yes.
I do like though that
it still doesn't bring us closer, does it? Because
actually there's one thing in terms of sort of weapons that he's using, because I think we maybe have to mention the whip, because it's with him from his very early ages in
yes.
And I think that's probably the one weapon, if it is a weapon, that he's using really well and that he doesn't know.
The bullwhip.
Yes, yeah, that is true, and it saves his life so often. I mean, I lose count of the number of times he crosses big chasms and
do they ever say in the Indiana Jones films how come he's got this whip?
No, funnily, no one ever comments on
why he's learned the skill and how to use it.
The only reference we get is in the very first bit of The Last Crusade, when we see him as a very young boy. He's picking it up when he's looking for the Cross of Coronado, and he falls into one of the train carriages, and it's like a circus, and there's a lion in the train, and he picks up the whip in an attempt to try and keep the lion away. And that's the time we see him with the whip, and probably the place where he's getting it from, but he doesn't know how to use it clearly, because he's hurting himself. He's getting quite a bit of a cliff in his chin, but that's the first time we see him with the whip. So I'm wondering if that's where the reference is, sort of going back in time. That's where he's picking it up.
Oh yeah, that is when he first gets it. I find it very interesting that he chooses to keep it, and I mean it's very good that he does, because it saves his life.
He gets his hat as well.
You lost today, kid. Doesn't mean you have to like it. And
yes.
Yeah.
He gets quite a bit of his equipment from that.
He does, from that first adventure, because it really is the fedora and the whip that makes the man, and a few other things as well.
You know,
as I recall,
before he's even, you know, a learned scholar, he has his equipment in a way.
Yes, he's ready for the archaeology, Jane.
Oh,
and
totally.
it's always a revolver
I
he
get
has.
a
doesn't
whip.
he?
Hang on, no one ever bought me a whip. That
Do you
was
not get? Oh, I was always told you've got two choices. It's either a trowel or a whip, and I
Oh.
decided to go for a trowel, but it you're boring. You see, it's
Fair point.
Make it a comment like nobody ever bought you a whip. You might get some strange comments in the posts.
I was trying not to say anything, but
yes, I realize now I shouldn't have gone there, guys. No.
okay, I'll just make a note for your next birthday.
Please don't. Please
I
don't.
can recommend some shops for you.
Could you?
Oh, okay. Let's not go there.
Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Guys, this has been amazing. Ian, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thanks for being such a good sport and pitching in on this. It's been great having you.
My minor contribution.
Oh no, it was very significant. And you know what? We've had the most awesomely fun discussion today.
Yes.
So thank you so much, both of you.
Well, if it's meant to be a conversation, I think it was really.
Well, that's entirely what it was. Although, Jane, we really must do the quick fire questions round again. I really enjoyed that.
You have to come up with it. Yes, and join in, guys. And remember, don't think too long and too hard. Just whatever comes to mind. That's the fun bit about this.
Yes, just right, he says, typing, but right.
Well, I think the quick fire rounds like strategy. I think it's a very good strategy to use on. Well, any of the sort of film reviews you do, because you remember stuff you didn't think you remembered.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And you had some brilliant points, Ian, that I know Andrew and myself wouldn't have come up with.
Yeah,
so it's been amazing.
Oh, I'm incredibly flattered.
No, you should be. Good man. Well, if you don't mind, I'll probably drag you onto these in future.
Yes, I note to self: one must do one's homework.
It's all right. It's just as much fun when one doesn't.
Yeah.
I've
Absolutely. Oh, guys, thank you so much. This has been incredible. And as always, comment and everything below, and join in and subscribe, and you know what to do.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for listening to the three of us. And as Jane says, please do put your comments down. We'd really love to see them.
X never, ever marks the spot.